This is an audio version of a fanfic called Appreciation over in Wattpad. If you want to read it on your own time, go over there and read it. If you want to just listen to me yap and yap and yap and yap and yap while reading with voice impressions, stick around. All right, bye. It might be a little out of character, it might not be. I don't know. You decide. Ah, Chapter 1 of The Intelligent Mind. Yoyle City, a place once abandoned, now sprouting with life. Its yellow skies and purple grass hold memories for those who once lived in such place. A competition having just recently come to a close. Contestants of such finding newfound residency in a long since abandoned Yoyle environment. The city streets, causing some unease, also hold a sense of familiarity to some, each finding a unique way of making the place feel like home. Fries, tending to his potato garden, having to fend off any of the rascals that attempt to taste test his crops before harvest. Slowly, yet surely, he's been on track to get his lost fries back. FreeSmart, making video diaries about everything that they get into, causing drama within their small community, or just chilling out up on the Yoyle Needy, playing a game or two to pass the time. The Science Duo, repairing the abandoned technology that they find laying around, and inventing cool new gadgets to solve problems the inferior cause. A tiring task, but it sure has improved everybody's quality of life, even if they don't realize it. Fiery, having been locked in a cage by FreeSmart, dangles off the Yoyle Needy, operating as an alarm clock for the residents. His acrophobia-induced screams acting as an alarm clock as to when the sun rises each day. His screams echo through the streets nearly 24/7. One can come to wonder how his vocal cords hadn't already torn to pieces. A cold, dark, empty space. No one dares to look, nor dare to care about such. One can find beauty in the void. Imagination takes full control of each individual that succumbs to its entrapment, whether it be someone or something you know of, something that may seem to have been impossible in the world we live in. One's imagination is truly never-ending. The greatest inventions known to object kind, trapped in this void for some. Others make it their duty to bring these wonderful things into their realm, failing horribly, or seeing great success. Some quit with a half-baked project. Others go overboard with it, and end up with 200%. The greatest inventors may never be known till the day they die, one where they won't be recovered. For some, they could live with this fact. For others, it could drive them mad. Not getting their well-deserved recognition can truly damage an object's motivation to create, leading most to the path of the inferior, pushing their passion to the side, never to be seen by the public eye. World-changing technology, lost to a lack of interest from those around us, deaths of the deceived due to the lack of medical equipment, and research those never pushed through to finding. Lost in the world, without anyone to help develop concepts, could be a pain, or in some cases, heaven on earth. To those who are antisocial, having someone just as innovative as you by your side can truly aid one's imagination, helping with solid ideas, techniques you may not have known of, words of encouragement. These things can keep someone's mind in check. Knowing that someone enjoys the work you put in can truly benefit production. Some people may never seem to get enough repetition, enough appreciation for their work. They may get a few compliments about it here and there, have something they worked on, so hard on, used repeatedly, but never getting any recognition for it. It can almost seem as if people are purposely ignoring you, not showing the slightest interest in any of your ideas or creations, pushing you to the side. They make you obscure, a molecule in the universe. Wishing to be more than that, you become erratic, yell, fight, anything to gain the spotlight, even just for a second, only to get pushed into a deeper pit. Those who have a reputation to be held may hold themselves back from illegality, but sometimes you need to push past those boundaries. Fear can be a pretty good technique to get your name known, whether it's you in that article, or a tragedy having been pinpointed, despite any actions you take. To some, your possibilities are endless, not knowing the acts you have done, or the crimes you have commit. The mind is quite the fun thing to play with. Everyone's outcomes, imaginations, thoughts, ideas being different, it could cause some interesting outcomes. Golf Ball sees herself reasoning with others that they should use her idea. Being the way that they are, they push her aside. Confusing. What's logical and well planned out to her, seen as confusing. These idiots are too stupid to understand the true works of a genius. The many times she's helped with challenges, people brush her aside, making fun of her even. She wouldn't stand this. Not for much longer. Nobody had truly seen her. Nobody listens to her. Similar things could be said about tennis ball, though his face had been seen by more, him having lasted in the competition longer than her. That doesn't make their situations much different, though. They're both hungry for recognition. They're underrated within the sea of the greats. They will all hear them. They will all see their true abilities, no matter what they have to do to accomplish their goals. It takes some work to be appreciated. Some that they haven't had to do before. The clock strikes 6 a.m. The first few rays of sunlight flood into the room, hitting Tennis Ball's eyes. The familiar screams from Fiery soon filling his ears. The day waits to begin as TB clumsily tumbles out of his bed, shakily standing up from the deep slumber he had woken from, blinking a few times as his eyes adjust to the morning light. He had spent all of the day prior helping Golf Ball repair an old piece of Yoyle tech. As he walks out of his room, he comes to meet the sight of Golf Ball sitting at the kitchen table, bags under her eyes, a coffee next to her, as well as documents she had been going through. Sneaking past her, not wanting to interrupt her work, he would open the cabinet and grab a bowl along with some Yoylos. Despite him getting sick of their taste, he pushes through the pain, as they're one of the most plentiful, and dare I say, tastiest cereal Yoyle City has to offer, as all the other brands had either gone stale, rotten away, or gone snatched up by Leafy. He goes and pours himself a bowlful, setting it down on the table and sitting next to GB. Taking a bite of his cereal, he glances over to the window, the Yoyle Needy in the distance. The wind making Fiery's cage sway slowly through the air. He would spot Freesmart up on the tower, the Alliance catching match-up with everything that had happened at BFDIA during her time in the LOL. With their audio recordings that had captured their memories, it was almost as if they could relive them, moment by moment. The shock, anger, joy, all the emotions the game had put them through, all documented. Tennis Ball could sense them, almost as if he were a psychic, reading their minds. Suddenly, Tennis Ball would feel something hit his shoulder, causing him to drop his spoon, some Yoylos slipping onto the table. Looking over to see Golf Ball.
"TB,"
she exclaims.
"no one sees us for our true capabilities. We need to do something about this."
What made you come to that conclusion? TB replies, curious.
"I had a dream. A nightmare. It was about all the times we were ignored during the season of BFDI. I couldn't remember any times that they appreciated our work. Well, there may have been one time, but that's not the point. Their thanks was short-lived, or non-existent at best. No one truly bats an eye towards us."
I can see where you're coming from, but do we really need to do something about this? I mean, it's not that bad. Everyone has their own opinions about us.
"Do you want to be forgotten, or do you want to get recognition for the work you've done, Tennis Ball?"
GB replied coldly. Her tone causes TB to stop and think for a moment. He hadn't remembered the last time she had spoken like this with him.
"All that we need to do is find a way for them all to appreciate us."
If you kill them and recover them into your basket, they won't have a choice.
Those words ring throughout Tennis Ball's head. He's used that tactic before, in the challenge, but could they use the same logic for this as well? I might have an idea that could work, he states. GB stares at him, intrigue filling her eyes.
"And that is?"
Remember that time in BFDIA 19 when I killed you guys for the challenge? Well, I was thinking we could do something similar for this. Tennis Ball questioning his own words, worrying in confidence, panting his emotions. We could trap them somewhere. Make them believe we're some kind of hero once we eventually get them out.
"If we decide to let them out,"
GB adds on.
"make them think we're taking care of them. That'll surely get them to know who's on top."
But where would we trap them?
"In my underground factory. There are plenty of places I can think of down there that are difficult to get out of."
She pauses for a moment.
"We bring the HPRC down there too. If anyone dies while they're down there, no one else will be able to recover them. And if someone asks where it went, we just claim we're upgrading it."
Are you sure this is necessary?
"Yes."
Golfa writes down their ideas onto paper, an evil smirk growing on her face with every detail she writes.
"We'll get the appreciation we deserve. They don't have a choice."
Station preparation, chapter 2. Pin passed the dirt around the flower she had just planted, placing her trowel down beside her. Standing up to admire her small garden's beauty, hydrangea and rose bushes lined the outer walls of her house, complementing its now faded red color, leaving a spark of life in their presence. "Hey, Pin," she hears an oh-so-familiar voice say. She looks to her side to find Coiny, her co-captain of Wobunch, half of his face being slightly melted and covered in bandages. "Hi, Coiny. Say, where have you been? I haven't seen you in weeks."
Nowhere really.
I just haven't been able to get out as much. He rubs the bandages that cover his face gently, making sure not to move them too much. Those flowers look nice, he says, changing the topic. Thank you. It took me a while to find them, not being native to Yoyle land and all. She brushes her hand over the bushes, the morning dew rubbing off on them, the leaves leaving a comforting sensation to her. Having her limbs taken away for upward of a year had made her forget these sensations. Quinny moves closer to one of the bushes. He plucks a single rose off of its branches, carefully placing it on Pin's head, wrapping the stem around her point. Looks good on you, he compliments. And now you're in pointier, he chuckles. A light-hearted giggle escapes Pin, her lips forming a comforting smile. Does it really? Quinny stares at her eyes, putting his hand on her shoulder. It's your color, Pin. You tell me. Tennis ball and golf ball walk down the H sidewalks. The hand-powered recovery center being pretty far away from where they reside could be quite the hike. But the more they have to travel, the faster the journey seems. Walking past abandoned buildings and the houses of their acquaintances, they study each individual's behavior, each making their own mental notes for what they find. Passing by, they spot the Wobunch captains. TB slows down as he witnesses the scene. Coming to a stop, he yells over to them. Pin and Quinny sitting in a tree. Kissing, TB quotes, mocking Quinny. Hey! Quinny yells, annoyance in his voice. How dare he use his own words against him? Tennis ball then leaves before they could say another word to him, quickly catching up with golf ball. It had been a while since she had been able to play any games with them. Plus, hide-and-seek was harmless. Bubble knew Yoyle City pretty well, having been there many years before the rest of Freesmart. She knew so many good hiding places, some even just a couple streets away from the Yoyle Needy. She wouldn't make it too difficult for the rest of her alliance, though. She rushes down the Yoyle Needy as Pencil starts counting, Ruby, Ice Cube, and Book following close behind. As they reach the bottom of the stairs, Bubble hides behind the staircase. Why would they check there? Pencil and Match could see where Icy, Book, and Ruby went from the top of the tower. Wouldn't they want to catch them first? She waits until she hears the two pass by before sneaking back up the stairs of the Yoyle Needy. Stopping in the middle of the stairway, she looks down. She has a great view of the entrance. If she saw Match or Pencil come back in, she could just run up to the roof again. Though she's transparent, she didn't want to take any chances of getting spotted by them if she were up on the roof. To her surprise, Bubble sees Ruby sneak back into the Yoyle Needy. Running up the stairs, Ruby nearly runs into her. Hoy! Bubble held her arm out, blocking Ruby from popping her. I didn't see you there, haha. Guess we had the same idea. Wait, so Coy, just stay here. Ruby carefully passes by Bubble and sits on one of the stairs, waiting for the seekers to return to the Needy when they give up searching. Book finds herself in a small corner store, a street or so away from the Yoyle Needy. Having agreed to hide together with Ice Cube, she looks around to find her old friend, to no avail. She had lost her while running from the tower. Peeking out the window, making sure not to get spotted by the seekers, she tries to spot Icy.
Found you. Gotta hide better than that.
She hears Pencil in the distance, having found Ice Cube. She feels bad for her, like she caused her to get caught, but why did she feel this bad? It's only a game. She won't just hate her for that, right? She heads towards one of the shelves, it being stocked full of expired snack food. Hiding behind it, she hears the bells of the opening door. Book, are you in here? Icy's high-pitched voice makes its way into Book's ears, a voice she could listen to for hours and not get tired of. She knows she can't tell her where she is. Match and Pencil surely would have made her help and search. Book tries her best to stay quiet. She looks around the corner of the shelf to see if she can get a good look at where everyone was at, only to be met face to face with Pencil.
Oh, great.
They all turn to look towards Pencil.
Found ya!
Minutes pass as fast as molasses, boredom setting in fast. Ruby and Bubble had started playing spongy cake, due to the sheer boredom Whitting had caused them. Before they could realize, the two seekers they were looking out for were making their way up the stairs of the Yoyle Needy, trying to stealthily make their way up to the roof before it was too late, having their backs turned, not knowing the two seekers had sped up the stairs. The seekers had caught up to them decently quickly. We, found you two! Match reaches over to playfully tap Bubble on the shoulder, forgetting how fragile the soap bubble was. Pop! Ruby turned around after hearing Match's voice. They went as small droplets of bubble solution get onto their faces, quickly wiping it off. I didn't, mean to do that. She crosses her arms, hugging herself, stepping to the side of the stairway, closer to the wall.
Great, now we have to recover Bubble again. Thanks an octocillion, Match.
Annoyed, Pencil storms down the stairs of the Yoyle Needy. I'm sorry, I, forgot. Match's voice trailed off as Pencil ventured forward. Ever since she had gotten out of the locker of losers and reunited with Freesmart, things just haven't felt the same to her. Everyone around her had changed so much. She could hardly recognize them at times. Those who were once her friends had grown distant from her. They had replaced her, though some were just alternates. She could see that even they had a closer bond with her best than she did at the time. Was Pencil really her best friend, though? Ruby picks up on just how much Match's mood changed. Worried about her, she grabs one of Match's hands, gently caressing it as a sign of comfort. Are you alright? She sighs. Yeah, I'm, fine. Don't worry about it, Roopster, she states, a fake sense of genuine in her tone. Ruby's quick to pick up on it. Unsure on how to ask her what's really wrong, she lets go of Match. I'm just gonna, go meet up with them by the HBRC. She heads down the stairs, Ruby following behind her shortly after. Arriving at the HBRC, Pencil types in Bubble's name, recovering her. Sliding out of the recovery center, Bubble immediately perks up.
Yoy! You've really gotta stop hopping so much, bub. This is getting repetitive.
Her tone stern. She crosses her arms, heading back towards the city. Sorry. She looks down in shame, scratching at her arms, knowing she can't stop herself from popping. It's inevitable. Any activity she does could be fatal if anything were to touch her, even in the slightest bit. She may be slightly stronger than a normal soap bubble, being able to squash and stretch just a bit, as if she were closer to a balloon. But she's still as fragile as a crumbly, dried-out leaf. Pencil doesn't understand what it's like to live like her. Having been listening and heard the encounter from a distance, Golf Ball makes her way up to the hand-powered recovery center, Bubble noticing her and looking up at her slightly.
We can help with that.
Golf Ball points to herself and Tennis Ball, who had been following close behind her. Hesitantly, Bubble replies, No, I don't need your help. I'll figure this out myself. She steps away from them, a tinge of regret filling her fragile soul. She looks at them one last time, before making her way back to the city to meet up with the rest of FreeSmart. The science duo watch as she heads off, looking at each other, then at the recovery center, giving each other an approving nod, as they start pushing the machine towards Golfwald's underground factory. It would take forever to get down there. But man, were they sound this now. Just how would they pull through with it? They couldn't just get caught. No. They need to make plans. Think this through. Make backups for the backups. There's no taking chances now. How would they get away with something like this? To what extent could they take risks? No risks. They can't take risks.
Who's the easiest target? Fiery, Woody, no. Bubble?
GB blurts out, thinking aloud. What are some good excuses they could use? Maybe they could make some stuff up on the spot? Maybe? Planning things out like this are difficult.
Think about it later, GB.
Get the HBRC down to the factory. Then once you two are down there, you can finalize this. Life in the HBRC is pretty darn boring. All the prisoners just sit around, waiting to get out, to see the light of day, not through a thick piece of glass. God, were they lucky to have that. Without it, there's no shadow of a doubt that it'd be dark in there. Some of the only efficient sources of light that they have is Fiery Jr. and TV. If they got out of the LOL, good luck seeing again. How would it be to be stuck in a box with people you barely know? Doubt anyone would say it's a great place to get to know some other people, but for the prisoners inside, it's their best option of socialization. Barely anybody goes to visit them from the outside world. For some, it breaks them. Missing your friends, really being able to see them, can hurt. Everybody could remember how Match was when she heard she was getting out of the TLC. She was ecstatic. She'd be able to see her friends again, hang out again, while the rest of them were trapped in there. Throughout their entrapment, many had their reasons to keep pushing through. Bristolity's love and support for Ice Cube had her excited for every new challenge to arrive. All until Icy was eliminated. She was distraught. She was such a big fangirl, rooting her on for everything she did throughout her time as a contestant. But when word came around that they'd all trickle out of the LOL, she got excited yet again. Being able to see Ice Cube again, and to just get out of that place, gave her all the reasons she needed. Others made friends during that time. Song Giddy just clicked. After a couple days of being trapped in there, they had already grown pretty close to each other, not necessarily knowing each other much beforehand. TV and Remote were a pretty good duo, both being mechanical minds. Gracie got along with a lot of people in there. His childish wonder and imagination made their stay bearable, at least. Some who were enemies, they'd just be happy to get out of there, away from their rival. Being trapped with them for upward of 3 years cannot be good for a person. Then there's Blocky, too. He'd make all his funny doings while trapped in there, the list of victims being limited. He got creative. And no, in this situation, that is not a good thing. No one could truly tell what Teardrop wanted to happen to her. She'd just lay there sometimes, staring at the ceiling, sometimes while fights were going on as well. She'd been daydreaming, making her own little world. When she got out of there, she'd better become some type of writer. All that material is right there. The only person she really talked to or spoken with was Eggy and some other contestants from the prior season. Throughout all that time being trapped in the TLC together, absolutely nobody had heard Teardrop speak. How could a person go that long without speaking? Everyone knew that being trapped in there was hell. They all hated it, but nobody could top the hatred of the battery-powered fan herself. For her being all hate nonstop, it wasn't too rare to see a fight break out between her and someone. Most being all vocal, others getting physical. One time, she fought with Snowball. The fight got so bad that they had to tie Snowball up to prevent him from killing her, which probably wouldn't be the worst thing to do. If you died while trapped in there, if you were to get recovered, you'd most likely be free. If the competition was still on, there's no doubt that you'd be sent back. But now that it's over, you could walk free. Sometimes objects try to use that method to get out. Trying to get sucked up by Black Hole, he refuses to let them do so, keeping them trapped for another day. The sun slowly sets over the horizon. The sky fades from yellow to navy. As it nears the end of the day, the wind picks up, trees and bushes swaying along to it. The streetlights all start to turn on, one by one. Though some light bulbs have burnt out, leaving sections of the road dark and hard to see. Distant waves from the Glicky Canal, a natural lullaby that can soothe one's soul. The atmosphere, so relaxing, yet so off-putting. The HVRC drags across the ground, scraping against the pavement below. The noise irritating. It had taken the two balls all day to make their way to the factory. Luckily, while being dragged along the pavement for hours on end, chunks of stuck-on glue started to detach from the machine, making the journey ever so slightly easier for the two. They had a couple close calls of people finding out they were still in the HVRC, but they were able to excuse themselves by claiming to be taking the machine away to upgrade it. Nickel had accepted the excuse and went on with his day, but while they were heading away, they could tell that Spongy didn't fully believe them. That look he gave them. Did he know what they were doing? No, he couldn't. After the countless hours the two had spent pushing the HVRC, they had worked up quite the workout, the two having tired by the time they had got the machine in place. Taking the HBRC downstairs was quite the hassle, though their work wasn't done just yet. They still had to finalize their plans, make backups, anything, to make sure they don't get found out. Early on, at least. As well as make up a place to keep the imprisoned.
Golfy, why don't you let me take control of planning for now? I've got a couple ideas that may work for us.
Exhaustion filling his voice, he ushers the smaller sports ball to let him have control.
Sure thing, TB.
She trusts him without hesitation, knowing she would be able to tweak things if they were needed. Godful makes her way towards a double door, passing through. She finds several rooms, some being used as storage space, whilst others lay empty, collecting dust.
Oh, this'll be perfect.
She starts out by observing the rooms used for storage. She spots a couple mattresses and drags them into other rooms, setting up sleeping quarters for those who will be trapped. Not getting pillows or any type of bedding for them. Those are a luxury. They'd surely enjoy it when they get to learn their lesson. Each room looks like a prison, perfectly encapsulating what they truly are. Adding locks to the doors, she finishes the first iteration of the captor's living space. Each room being no more than 6 by 6 feet. They could cram up to 4 people in a single room. Wonder who those lucky first 4 will be. Hope they settle in well. Tennis Ball writes. He writes and writes, his ideas flying out of his brain onto the page. At this rate, his whole table would be full of notes, drafted schedules of the other Yoyland residents, notes taken about their skills and what to avoid, jotting down each detail with precision. TB plans out the fate of their first victim, how they act, what their wake points are, how noticeable they'd be if they went missing, what to do if they were spotted, how to transport them down to the factory. There was no room for error here. This had to be perfect. The time is now approximately 2:17 a.m. He finishes up the plans. He reads through them one last time before bringing Golf Ball over to revise them.
Golfy, could you come over here? You need to read this.
He calls out for Golf Ball. She walks over to the table he'd been sitting at for the past few hours.
Did you finish the plans already?
Yeah, I did. I just want you to read through it before we put it into action. He nudges her over to study his work. Golf Ball looks over at the papers, squinting her eyes, trying to read TB's writing. She flips through each page, taking in the information he had provided, the plan being nearly foolproof, though there were still some loose threads that had to be managed. Taking her time, she added onto Tennis Ball's work, polishing it up before they take action. Within the hour, they had completed it. There was no way that they'd fail this. 1. Prepare. There cannot be any interruptions. We must learn everyone's schedules before and after each disappearance. It is guaranteed that some disappearances will affect the residents more than others. 2. Kidnap. Whether they're still alive, or we kill and recover them down here. Make sure the captured can't escape. 3. Observe. Check on them daily. Keep their sanity in check. Or don't. Their cellmates will have to deal with that eventually. If anyone in the outside world gets suspicious or have a lead, take care of it ASAP. We can't have the truth getting out. 4. Blame. If anyone were to find out about this, blame someone else. Make your own investigation if things get out of hand. If the inferior are certain that another had done it, take them into custody and lay low for a while. 5. Wait until the panic dies down before the next go. The basics on how they go through with this laid out. Each capture would be harder, taking more than a simple list. But that's the fun part. Seeing the looks on everyone's faces when they're getting taken away will be priceless. Those who push them aside will see who's superior soon. Just they wait.
This is how it's gonna start. Tomorrow, we take care of...
Patient 0.
It's chapter 3 now.
The sun up in the sky, the day having bloomed into action. The sky, as yellow as a tomato, as it has seemingly always been in Yoyle land. Nickel, Spongy, and Bummy, all having been Wobunch members in the past, wander around the streets, casually hanging out as the friends that they are. Passing by old buildings, restaurants, and whatever else Yoyle City has to offer, they get lost in the labyrinth, everything seeming familiar to them. Buildings repeat. Maybe following Nickel wasn't the best idea they've had. He's been leading them in circles for the past hour and a half.
Nickel, where were you taking us again?
Spongy asks, having gotten tired of seeing the same sights. He stops suddenly, to think, to remember. After a couple of seconds of them just standing there, eerily, he turns around.
You tell me, 'cause I forgot,
he says cheerfully. They just stand there, awkwardly, staring at Nickel, having just wasted their last hour or so doing absolutely nothing.
You know, it'd be really funny if Evil Leafy just randomly appeared. Ah, Evil Leafy, run!
Nickel yells out, sprinting away as fast as he possibly can, swerving around, tripping over a curb and face-planting onto the cold, hard concrete. Golf Ball, not having been able to sleep much the night prior due to the anxiety of getting caught, though they hadn't truly started yet. She had started a small project during that time that could potentially aid her and her lab partner's quest. Prosthetic arms. She didn't want them to be just basic. She wanted them to have helpful tools built in, though supplies for adding those elements weren't at their house. It being just about 11:44 a.m. would mean that most residents are out and among the streets. This being a seemingly normal project wouldn't cause too many unwanted looks. Plus, there are other weirder things that could be spotted throughout Yoyle City. She makes her way down to her factory, passing by a few residents on her way, no one really even noticing her. That being both a good and bad thing to her. Good, because that means people don't pay much attention to her, but also bad for the same reason. At least she'll be noticed soon. By just some people. Flower, while passing by, gives Golf Ball a look of disgust.
Ew, what is that?
Disgust slipping through her tone as she glares at the ball's creation that lay upon her head as she carries it. Golf Ball turns to look at the object beside her, pulling the bloom down to her level by pulling on her bedazzled scarf, tapping on the bloom's petals.
Well, if your pesticide pedicure brain were working, you'd see that this, she points at the object, is a prosthetic. But seems like you're too idiotic to see that.
She looks over at it.
Well, it may still be at the draft phase, but it's still noticeable.
Not caring about how mean she had just been to the large plant. Flower straightens back up to her own level, fixing her scarf.
I'm a gardener. I wasn't looking for a lecture about your stupid prosthetic.
She turns to step away and continue walking.
By the way, that shit looks like garbage. I could probably do better than that, bozo. You haven't even made one before first boot.
Flower flips her off and walks away, rubbing the back of her neck. GB sighs, annoyed, continuing her journey down to the factory. Once she gets down to the factory, she sets the side project down on the table and calls for TB.
Get me a beer, woman!
Golf Ball yells out, getting the attention of the larger ball. From a distance, she hears him reply,
Yes, ma'am.
TB makes his way to the makeshift cafeteria they had set up down in the factory for long projects. Whilst opening the cooler, he realized what she had called him. Did she just call me a woman? Confusion engulfing him. Unsure how to feel about the statement set towards him. Surprisingly, to himself, he finds that he wouldn't be fully opposed to the idea. Golf Ball tightens the elbow joints, adding a few adjustments to the prosthetic arm. More mobility, adjustable length, stronger materials, general improvements. They could always add more features later, if or when needed. Their needs will vary over time. They couldn't be certain of what they may need in the future. Tennis Ball goes over to her and hands her a drink. She nearly immediately takes a sip, glancing over at Tennifer.
Thanks, Stevie.
She says sincerely.
We'll bring them here today, right?
She asks. Yes, we are, he confirms. Coming back from the store after a grocery run with the Free Smart members, Book meets eyes with Ice Cube. They greet each other with a welcoming wave. She goes over to have a chat with Icy, leaving the rest of Free Smart to put things away, which isn't a bad thing at all, really. There's still 4 of them. If they complain about it, they don't deserve them. Sitting down next to Ice Cube, hiding the bag she was holding behind her back.
Icy, guess what?
Book says excitedly, "What?" She tilts her head. Book pulls a cyan bow out of the bag and puts it on Icy's head while smiling.
I saw that and it reminded me of you, so I had to get it.
Icy looks at the bow through the reflection of herself in a window and smiles. She really liked it. It was the perfect color for her and everything. She hugs Book, appreciating the gift she had got for her. "Thanks, Book." Hugging her back, she replies,
No problem, Icy.
Watching from the kitchen, while putting away groceries, Ruby calls out, "Get a room!" A smirk growing on her face before heading back to work.
Are we not allowed to show affection to each other anymore?
Book questions, adding on,
Is that a member-exclusive feature?
"Do you want it to be?" Pencil asks jokingly. She wouldn't actually do that. Totally.
No!
Ice Cube and Book yell out in unison, them already being limited enough by being alternates.
Haha, I was just kidding.
She turns to put her empty bags in the respective cabinet and head upstairs, the other members slowly doing the same afterwards, though Bubble would stay for just a while longer.
Hey, Icy, wanna know something?
Sure, what is it?
Sometimes I write my thoughts down in myself, just to remember them better.
She opens herself to a drawing that she had made a while back.
Erasing them is practically the same as losing memories.
She chuckles, closing herself.
I guess if I lost some of my pages, it'd be like I got part of my brain removed.
She rubs the back of her head as if she were nervous about something, she herself not sure as to the reason why. Bubble approaches Book, having overheard her. "Hoy, can I draw something inside of you?"
Maybe? Why?
She backs away from Bubble slightly, not knowing of what her intentions were. So part of me will be with you forever. That's okay, right? Book thinks for a moment, unsure if she should let her. Deciding that she should, they'll forget to recover them, and the drawing may lead her to remember about her.
Yeah, that's alright.
She opens herself to an empty page, letting Bubble draw. Bubble deals herself with the 2 of them, happy and smiling. Though they hadn't done much together, they were still friends. Well enough. They were a trio within the bounds of FreeSmart, being the underdogs, not really getting noticed all too much within their alliance meetings. Their bonds were special, having just more recently becoming closer friends. If something were to happen to one of them, the others would surely notice. With the boredom of waiting to be let out messing with their minds, ever so slightly, the TLCers find their own little ways to entertain themselves. Whether it be to chat with people, fight, or try breaking the seal that keeps them trapped in there, they're all forced to be patient, awaiting the day that they're set free. That night, while Snowball was trying to break himself out of there, a leaf flew through a crack in the lid of the TLC. Marker noticing it, trying to catch it. It falls onto Tree, him sleeping, not noticing anything that had been going on around him. Marker tried to grab the leaf, but he only made it slip through Tree's leaves. While trying to retrieve the foreign leaf, he hits one of Tree's branches too hard, and a faint snap could be heard. Alongside the tree being woken up abruptly, a few close flocker mates turned to look their heads to see what happened.
I think I just snapped his brain.
Marker speaks out in concern. Tree slaps his hands away from his head.
"Oh, don't do that again,"
he says calmly, rubbing his head. As the evergreen tree does so, the leaf falls to the ground beneath him.
Sorry, Tree.
Marker apologizes, spotting the loose leaf on the ground. Grassy sees Snowball trying to get the TLC open.
Grassy wants to help,
He says, running over to the cold object. While running, Grassy steps on the leaf, crunching it. Marker, distraught. One of the only things that had brought him joy recently, crushed by nature itself. Grassy stops next to Snowball. He reaches up to him.
Let Grassy help.
Snowball looks down at the small grass cluster.
"Sure thing, kiddo."
He picks Grassy up and places him on top of his head. They both punch at the roof, trying their hardest to budge, even the slightest bit. The darkness of night engulfs the city, its residents having fallen asleep, all except for 2. The science duo. They prepare themselves for the act they're about to commit, not being able to go back now. Heading out from Golf Ball's factory, they head over to their home, place that they had been staying at during their time in Yoyle City. Every street, every turn filling them with regret. But they can't let that feeling get to them. Not now. They need to put this plan into full throttle. They can't stay back and wait. If they did, they wouldn't see if it had the outcome that they were wishing for. There it is. They stand before the first victim's place of residency.
We go in, find them in their room, and get them out of there. Don't get seen or alert anybody else that may be inside.
Tennis Ball says to his partner in crime in a hushed voice, as to reassure that they don't get heard or wake anyone.
Understood.
Golf Ball replies, getting out her lockpicking kit. The Balls sneak into the building, having made sure that everybody inside would be asleep at the time. Picking the lock of the front door, they carefully make their way inside, closing the door gently after they enter the building. They make their way through the kitchen, past the living room, and up the stairs. Some steps make a quiet creak as they pass by. As to not wake them, they make their way up slowly. Reaching the second floor, they quietly make their way throughout the hallway. Unsure of what room their bedroom was, they carefully crack open each door one by one. Door 1, a closet, nothing of interest. Not much of a great place to hide either. Door 2, a bedroom, not the one of whom they're searching for. Door 3, bingo. They head inside, making sure not to bump into anything, as it was quite dark, the only source of light coming from the street lamps outside. The blinds being down, not helping them much at all. Looking over at the larger ball, Gulpo whispers, making sure not to be too loud and risk waking them.
Remember, TB, be very gentle. We don't want them waking up.
Tennis Ball nods in agreement. He heads over to their bed, trying his best to be careful about this. One wrong move and their entire plan could fail. They've barely even started progress. He can't fuck something up now. The two of their reputations are at stake. Reputation at stake. He takes a deep breath, attempting to lift them from their bed without waking them. The darkness messes with his sight, more than usual. He bumps into the side of their bed, the movement waking them. They shoot up, in a way you would normally only see in a cartoon. They look around frantically, until they spot them. Golf Ball nudges Tennis Ball to do something about them. Then she stays back, not wanting to be in their view, not knowing that she had already figured out who it was.
Hoy, what are you two doing?
Tennis Ball quickly grabs her pillow before she could alert anyone. He forces it over her mouth, muffling her words. Bubbles' screams get muffled by the pillow as she pops. Bubbles' solution getting onto the wall next to her, quickly drying down, as if nothing had happened. The scientists stay still. They stay quiet for just a moment. They didn't hear anyone else, and didn't think much about it at first. But then, they hear subtle movement from the other side of the room. Turns out Bubble was louder than they had originally anticipated, waking Buck, who had been sharing the room with her for the night. The two quickly line up to have the silhouette of the fragile object they had just killed, to have any scrap of hope to not get called out. Anxiety fills their souls. No, they can't just get called already. Please don't see us, they beg to themselves. Stuck in a sleepy haze, Buck calls out in hushed voice.
Bubble, you alright?
She opens her eyes slightly to look over at Bubble's bed, her vision being somewhat blurry, but she sees a round shadow. Her friend. She sighs, assuming that she had just had a nightmare again. Soon after, she closes her eyes yet again. Tennis Ball and Golf Ball try their best to stay quiet as the Yoyle City Atlas drifted back to sleep. Once they sense that the coast is clear, the two balls book it out of there, not wanting to risk anyone else possibly seeing them. They sprint down the stairs, no longer caring if they wake someone up. They run past the living room, through the kitchen, and out the door, the cold, fresh air humming them just a tad bit. They had nearly done it. All that was left to do was recover her and trap her for however long it takes. May it be weeks, months, years, no matter how long, they'll keep them trapped. Somewhere in the Yoyle woodlands, Leafy sits on a branch, watching over Yoyle City in the dead of night, alone. Streetlights illuminate the city. Their warm light makes the city look oh so very comfortable. The slight wind of the night making the branches around her sway around. Some loose leaves brushing up against her every so often. She stares down to the streets, looking to see if anybody was out and about, regardless of the hour. The Yoyle needy, standing tall, reaching into the night sky. Fiery, locked inside a cage, giving an area around him a faint warm glow, even when he's asleep. She feels bad for him, as if she had something to do with it. The loneliness can be quite harsh at times, especially when you watch the people who were once your friends get along so well with each other, when at one point they may have hated one another. Leafy speaks aloud to herself.
It's been forever since I've had a conversation with anyone. I wish that they'd just forgive me. Forgive me for what I did, and forget everything that had happened with me in the past. Everything I've done. I want to have friends again. Everyone hates me, and I understand that, but I hate myself too, a lot of the time. But hey, some of those people in the TLC must at least tolerate me, even just a little bit. Not every single person in the world can hate me, right? When they get to know me, they'll say that I'm actually really nice. They don't truly know why I stole Dream Island. They don't know anything about me, really.
She jumps off the branch and starts pacing around, anger and negative thoughts racing through her head, unable to get them away. Her eyes start to tear up she can't seem to get away from. She pulls out a knife and stabs the tree she had once been sitting on, looking at it weakly before hugging it and falling to her knees as her sobbing begins. That morning, the Free Smarters went on about their day as normal. No one really noticed that someone was missing. All that time during BFDIA, when Bubble had been dead, must have acclimated them to Bub's non-existence. No one batting their eyes at the empty chair that sat at their table. All but one person didn't seem to care that Bubble was missing. But Book was worried. One of her friends were missing, and nobody even cared. She decides to ask them if they knew her whereabouts, just to see if anybody cared.
Hey, has anyone seen Bubble?
Book asks nervously. Everybody at the table turning their heads to look at her, then to the empty chair. Match scratches her head. No, I don't think that I've, seen her, all today. I kind of just assumed she was still asleep, Ruby admitted, taking a bite of her food.
Maybe she popped again?
Pencil questions.
Maybe?
Shouldn't we try and recover her? Book moves her pancakes around on her plate. Yeah, we should totally, go recover her, Match exclaims, swiftly getting up out of her seat. Pencil watches as the other members and alternates get up, reluctantly following suit. They all head out of the clubhouse, making their way over to where the HBRC stands, or where it used to be. Once they get to where the HBRC once stood, they find that it's missing. Looking around to see where it could have went, the glue it had once been stuck to, having been stretched and worn off of the large machine.
Huh? Where'd it go?
Icy calls out. Did someone move it? Ruby asks, the answer being quite obvious. While walking by, Nickel spots them and yells over,
Hi guys, what you up to?
Someone stole the recovery center!
Book yells out in a panic.
Oh, I saw GB and TB taking it to their factory to upgrade it. It should be down there.
With a tone of uncertainty, Icy replies, How do you know that's what they're doing?
They told me at Spudgy a few days back, while pushing the HBRC over to their factory.
You guys heard him. The HBRC's in the Bozo's factory.
Pencil walks away, heading over to Golfball's factory. The others following after her. Before she leaves, Book thanks Nickel and catches up with the rest of the Alliance. Golfball hears an alarm coming from her factory. As quickly as she can, she sprints down to it. She's aware that TB had sabotaged the machine the night prior after killing Bubble, though they didn't recover her down there that night. They knew that the Free Smarters would eventually find out and go to recover her. They needed to be safe about it. If Bubble were alive and trapped, she could have gotten their attention and gotten out of there. The Free Smarters make their way down into the factory. Dozens of machines lay around. Some nearly complete, some seemingly just started. It'd take forever to find the HBRC throughout the maze of machines, even if they were to split up and search. Not long after, they spot the Bossy Bot, coming down to yell at them, as always.
Hey, you can't be down here, Free Smarters!
She yells.
We're just here to recover Bubble, Bossy Bot. She popped again.
Pencil crosses her arms at the sight of the Botsy Ball.
Look, I'll go recover her. Then just get out!
She demands. She makes her way over to the HBRC, Free Smart following behind her. She starts to type out the name of the fragile object and presses the go button. Before they could even start cranking, a loud sound played. Fatal error!
Huh? That's weird.
She acts surprised, inspecting the screen.
Let me try that.
Pencil pushes Golf Ball to the side, her landing on her back with a grunt. She types the name of the fallen object once again. Fatal error! What's going on? What's wrong? Ruby calls out, concerned about what's happening with the machine.
We must not have reconnected a wire correctly.
Golf Ball rushes over to the machine, putting on an act for those lesbian fellas that are infecting her breathing space.
Tennis Ball and I will get this fixed ASAP.
Golf Ball pulls out her phone, calling TB, yelling,
Come here now!
Before hanging up. Tennis Ball enters, spotting the Free Smarters by the Handbell Recovery Center, worried that they might have found out what they're doing if his sabotaging of the recovery center didn't work. Seeing the expression on Golf Ball's face, he joins her act. Walking over,
What happened?
He asks, acting as if he was clueless about what was wrong with the machine.
Are you sure you reconnected everything correctly?
She acts stern. The two balls have a conversation about what may be wrong with the machine, what they can do to repair it, and what the root cause may have been. They assure the Free Smarters that they'll be able to fix it, and recover their friend. Little to their knowledge, someone in the crowd that they have been talking to knows something. Someone has insight on what they were doing. They could figure out their plan. Why did the smartest Free Smarter have to be sharing the room with the victim? Bo can't help but stare at TB, suspicion creeping through her mind. She knows what she saw that night. She saw them leave. They killed her. It's fine though, right? Maybe they just got her to test the machine?
No, that couldn't be it. Bubble would have came back. Hell, they probably would have told them. What are they planning? What are their intentions? What are they gonna do to me when they find out I saw them in the clubhouse killing Bubble in the middle of the night while they thought everyone was asleep and simply got out of there without anyone truly noticing?
Golf Ball notices that Book has a look of discomfort. She goes over to try and comfort her, though she was only doing so to uphold an act.
Hey, don't worry, Book. We know what we're doing. Yeah, sure. Thanks for the reinsurance, GB.
She steps aside, pulling Pencil along with her. She grunts.
Book, what do you want? Look, Pencil, I think I should tell you something when we leave. Why not tell me now? It's,
She glances over at TB and GB, then looks back at Pencil.
a secret.
Not sure that she understands, she accepts anyway.
Alright, just remind me when we get out of here, I guess.
She steps back over to Match's side and listens to the two scientists rambling yet again, though she really did not care for what they had to say. We'll recover Bubble and send her back once we fix this, don't worry. Tennis Ball assures the group.
Now get out of my factory!
Golf Ball yells at them. She wants them gone so they could move on with their journey to be appreciated.
Fine, don't want to see your face anyway, Bossy Bot.
Pencil leads the way out of the factory. Book looks back while following Pencil, Icy behind her. She takes one last look at GB and TB, their acts loosely slipping as they look away from FreeSmart, this only confirming her suspicions even more. While on their way back to the FreeSmart clubhouse, Book stops Pencil. Match notices that she wasn't by her side anymore and looks back to see where she went, as Ice Cube and Ruby continue to make their way back.
Pencil, I need to tell you this. I don't want many people knowing this, just as a safety precaution.
She breathes in, her breath somewhat shaky.
Last night, I woke up to Bubble screaming, and I saw them.
She points her thumb behind her, towards the direction of which they had come from the factory.
I saw TB and GB in her spot. They tried to blend in. I think I could tell it wasn't Bubble, 'cause they aren't transparent. I pretended to fall back asleep, but I kept listening to them.
She checks her back to be sure the two balls weren't watching, or listening to her, before looking back at Pencil.
When they left the room, I drew down what I saw.
She opens herself to a page, showing a quick sketch of the scene.
I think they're planning something.
Pencil shuts Book closed.
Haha, nice joke, Book.
She replies, unamused. Book grabs her shoulders, shaking her a bit.
I'm being serious, Pencil.
She steps back from her.
We know what they're capable of. If Bubble isn't back by the end of the day, you better start to believe me.
She walks away from her, heading back towards the clubhouse without them. Match listened from afar, hearing some things better than others, not really paying attention at all. She was really just waiting for Pence. She walks up beside her, not saying a word. What was that, about? Match asks.
Book said TB and GB might be planning something, but I don't really believe her.
They start walking back together. Why don't you? Match questions, holding onto Pencil's arm.
It's just... I just... don't, you know? What she said is kinda hard to believe. I mean, yeah, it sounds like something those two nerds would do, but she's probably just overthinking things.
You should totally, pay attention to the things that she or, the rest of the free smarters say. You just, push them aside sometimes. She waits for a response from Pencil, not getting anything. Pencil! What is it? Are you even, listening to me right now? Yeah, sure, I am. Pens. She takes a deep breath. Ever since I was trapped in the TLC, you've changed, so much. You used to be so fun to hang out with and talk to, but throughout all of VFDIA and, even more as of recent, you've just, gotten worse. I just changed. There's nothing wrong about that. Everybody does. But you were, so much nicer before. To me, at least. And I really miss that side of you. Lately, you've been pushing me aside, as much as we used to, push, Ice Cube away. Back in season 1, it's almost
And what if I don't love you as much as I used to? So what? Times change, Matchy.
Pencil interrupts her. You don't... Distraught, Match stops in her tracks.
I mean, I don't not want to be with you anymore.
She stops and faces Match.
It's just, you were gone for so long. It's difficult to keep those feelings in place after such a long time. I'm sorry.
She speedily makes her way back to the clubhouse, leaving Match behind. She couldn't believe that had just happened. Tennis Ball resets the Hand Power Recovery Center to working order, typing in Bubble's name and recovering her. She gently drops out of the machine. Looking around, she spots the scientist.
What do you want?
The balls look at each other, then back at Bubble.
We've been wanting to do a social experiment, and you're our first subject.
Tennis Ball explains to her.
Our patient zero, so to say.
Golf Ball adds on. Bubble backs away, nearly bumping into the side of the HBRC.
Why though? Did I do something wrong?
She blurts out worriedly.
What are you guys going to do with me?
Just come with us.
Golfball demands.
You'll find out as the days go on.
Bubble reluctantly follows the two scientists, eyeing the way out of there while following them, slowing down quite a bit without noticing herself. Tennis Ball grabs her by the wrist once he notices her eyeing the exit, dragging her along with him. As they pass by through double doors, they enter a hallway full of small rooms. Bubble freezes in place as they drag her towards one of the empty rooms, pushing her inside.
This is where you live now.
Golfball says coldly.
There are other ways you could do this. Please, you don't need to do this.
She reaches out as they slam the door in her face. She stands there, staring at the closed door, hearing them lock it from the outside. She looks around to see a singular mattress and nothing else. It was almost like that one time she was sent to prison, but worse. She sits down over on the mattress that lay dormant in the corner.
Is this my life now?
She questions to herself. Back in the main factory area, GB and TB make sure that it's safe to head back to their house for the rest of the day, checking to see if any machines need to be turned off, turning some alarm features on, checking if the wall teleporter was ready for the eliminated contestant who was going to be let out of the LOL the next day. All that jazz. Doing these things gave them time to think, and that time was used to process what they had seen, or done, that day. Something clicked in GB's brain. Book.
Tennis Ball. Book knows.
Golfball informs her suspicions to Tennis Ball.
She was looking at us with suspicion earlier. She must have seen us when we went to get them.
We've got to do something about that before she finds Bubble.
If she does, she won't be able to tell anyone.
Hi guys, hope you enjoyed that.
Guess what? You get to vote. You get to vote. You get to vote who comes out of the LOL. Yeah, that's right.
Vote for the contestant who you want to go out of the LOL in the comments. Either in brackets or legit just say their name. I'm literally counting pretty much everyone.
Vote for commenter, please. Yeah. Okay.
Voting will end by December 7th. Get your votes in by December 7th.
And then I will write more and voice over even more.
This video is legitimately just an hour of my voice.
Hope you enjoyed my voice. Yay.